All right, traders, the put options are printing and the SPY is not only selling off during the day, but it is also selling off during future hours trading session. With that being said, I ended up making 5 figures on the SPY today. And what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to show you, what if I told you this was possible, where I can show you a price action trading strategy that is based off of history repeating itself. Therefore, if this works, and I'm going to give you the confirmations that I use to confirm that that history is going to repeat itself. And if this works, you will know exactly when to buy put options, the key times to get in on these put options, and where to start locking in profits. I'm going to show you how I was able to crush the markets today. As you can see right here, in terms of my previous video, the video that I posted yesterday, I clearly stated the best price to play puts on SPY is going to be towards this 396, this previous support, this 396 level. That's where it ended up topping out in the pre-market. And then I gave an update within Trader Society in the watch list, and I took advantage of my analysis as I always do. And within this watch list analysis, I clearly stated at 9:13 a.m. in the pre-market, SPY looks similar to Friday's chart. We will likely see a morning sell-off, which we did, and I ended up banking on put options on that green to red move when the previous closing price reacted as a resistance level for a nice 40% return very, very quickly. And then I was expecting a recovery, and we did get that recovery. And not only did I do that, so in terms of the SPY, the SPX floor, this is where I learned my scalps, and this is the money-making floor. And then in terms of will alerts, this is where I learned the best setups to trade the best prices. I had alerted right here at 12:01 p.m. when SPY was at key resistance at 393.40 towards the highs at 12:01 p.m. I alerted puts, and I ended up making an average return of 40% on those puts, 50% plus on those puts very, very quickly within just 18 minutes. And I'm going to show you how this is all possible. If you were to compare Friday's chart to today's chart, they look nearly identical. Look at this. You have this nice move up in the pre-market. You have this nice move up in the pre-market. You have this morning sell-off. You have this morning sell-off. SPY starts to bottom out towards 10 a.m. SPY starts to bottom out towards 10 a.m. SPY recovers. It rockets. SPY recovers. It rockets. And then it tops out at 12 p.m. and it sells off. And it sells off. And you could see history is repeating itself so similar. It did not get those new lows towards the end, but look at it in future hours trading session. That's what we call a delayed reaction of history repeating itself. But if you were to just compare the chart of Friday and base your trading strategy and base the price action of confirming that that history was going to repeat itself, you should have done very, very well trading put options today. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. And that's how I was able to be extremely successful within the markets today. And I'm going to show you how you can do this. If you look at the charts, I showed you the 5-day, 5-minute. I showed you the 30-day, 30-minute right here. Very, very similar. Very, very similar patterns, right? So let's get straight into it. Let's get into it. And I'm going to give you the update. I'm going to explain to you my further plans to trade the SPY heading into tomorrow. In terms of stocks, I have no interest in stocks right now. All my focus is really in the SPY. It's highly predictable. I'm finding unique price action trading strategies where I'm seeing patterns repeat itself within history. So I'm going to be recapping these trades, and then I'm going to give you my updated price action analysis that I plan to trade for tomorrow. And then you just have to understand that, things can change in pre-market, things can change during extended hours trading sessions. So there's going to be new patterns, and there's going to be very important updates. So that's very, very important. And that's a very strong reason to really consider Trader Society as well, to get that real-time price action analysis. But that 396.50 level, that was so on point. Unfortunately, it wasn't during market hours open. But let's get into this. So why play puts at market open? Why did I decide to play puts at market open, where I ended up making a 40% return in just a couple of minutes, literally in just a couple of minutes? And they were not same-day expirations. They were next-day expirations. They were the expirations that expire tomorrow, and they were at the money, the closest strike price to in the money, right? So barely out of the money. Why did I decide to play these put options and make a quick 40% return, right? So the reason why was previous closing price. This was looking, if you just looked at the pattern, it was looking just like it did on Friday. So I was expecting a morning sell-off. It was looking bearish, and I started to see my theory was working out. It's selling off in the morning. It's looking pretty bearish. So if we can reject the previous closing price and turn it into a resistance level, right? So what would be that confirmation? Well, you could see right here, it fills the gap. It hits the previous closing price. It has a small bounce. It's topping out at these lower highs. These lower highs are at the previous support, which is bearish. That means it's forming these nice lower highs here. It's rejecting. Once it starts to crack, form more lower highs, you scalp puts right here towards this 391.80. And then you just look to get out towards the quick dips. When it drops like $1 or $2, you just look to get out on quick dips. And then you can see right here, there was another nice put scalping opportunity. So the main play there was history repeats itself in terms of Friday's price action. It rejected the previous closing price, formed lower highs. And when you see that bearish confirmation, you just know that it's going to have a nice, instead of having a gap close reversal where it fills the gap in a reversal, if the previous closing price reacts as a resistance level, it's going to have a nice little micro sell-off. And SPY was already topping out at that key 396. It was already selling off at the open. It was already repeating history. And in terms of, well, how long is it going to crash for? If you were to compare Friday, it bottomed at 10 a.m. So it still had 20 more minutes to potentially crash in terms of that history repeating itself based off the previous closing price rejection, from the previous closing price rejection reacting as resistance, forming these lower highs, and based off that Friday history. Now, in terms of the best trade of the day, that was at 12 p.m. So what made me alert these puts at 12:01 p.m.? This was the best trade of the day, where I'd stated to buy SPY puts right here at this 12:01 p.m. level. Why did I decide to do that? And this was the killer one. This is the one where I made 50% very, very quickly as well. I had two back-to-back 50% winners, and then towards power hour, I had 100% return as well. I'll be going over some of that too. But why did I decide to do this? Because this was my most highest conviction, most confident play of the day, is where I played puts at 12:01 p.m. So I looked at the chart, right? We had a morning sell-off on Friday. We had a morning sell-off on Friday. It recovered at 10 a.m. It recovered at 10 a.m. That was the recovery I was referring to in the watch list. And then SPY started spiking. SPY started spiking. And you could see right here, the SPY began to crumble at the highs towards this 10:30 a.m. And it wasn't until 12 p.m. where it really began to have another nice sell-off. So if history were to repeat itself, I would look for similar things to repeat itself, right? How can you confirm that history is repeating itself? Compare trends. I'm seeing a trend where SPY sells off in the morning, SPY sells off in the morning, SPY bottoms at 10 a.m., SPY bottoms at 10 a.m., SPY rockets at 10 a.m. for the recovery, SPY rockets at 10 a.m. for the recovery. I'm comparing this to Friday and I'm saying, this is literally identical. So I'm going to continue to base these theories and trades based off the Friday, but I'm not just going to say, okay, let's buy puts at 12 p.m. I'm going to use confirmations. If I see SPY is crumbling, if SPY is crumbling towards the top, crumbling towards the highs, and then I see some rejections towards this 12 p.m. level, then that's me confirming that, okay, that history is going to repeat itself. And you should have conviction that history is going to repeat itself if you are constantly seeing it repeat itself. The entire day, SPY was repeating itself. It had the morning sell-off, it had the morning sell-off, it had the 10 a.m. recovery, it had the 10 a.m. recovery. And look at where it started to top. On Friday, it topped out at 10:35 a.m. Look at today. It started to top off very similar towards 10:50, towards 11 a.m. So all of that, leading up to this 12 p.m. idea, this trade, should give you higher conviction that history is going to continue to repeat itself in similar cycles. Not to an exact T, but similar cycles, and very similar enough to give you an idea of what timeframes it can potentially, crash, where the best entries would be, right? So my idea time frame was 12 p.m., right? Because I don't want to hold through this chop. This is all chop. This chop was like an hour and 30 minute chop. You can scalp towards the top and then sell quickly and keep doing that. But in terms of a nice trade where I'm looking to hold, based off of history, I'm going to wait till 12 p.m. because that's what the chart tell me, and that's why I waited till 12 p.m. And yes, you can scalp towards the top earlier if you want, but in terms of that nice hold and bigger win, that's how I came up with the idea at 12 p.m. because I kept confirming that history is going to repeat itself. And the way I was able to confirm that is because I was saying, okay, let's take a look at SPY. What is it doing? Well, it topped out in the pre-market towards this 396 level. Previous support reacted as a resistance like I was expecting it to do. I clearly stated that'd be the best level for puts in terms of this week. I said if we get a quick pop back to this 396 to 396.50, SPY will likely sell off the first time it tests, and that's what happened. And I took advantage of that analysis along with my previous closing price rejection strategy reacting as resistance in the morning, along with history repeating itself with the morning Friday sell-off. See how I'm stacking all of these things in my favor? See how I'm adding on to my analysis? So what did I add on? What did I add on? Well, we had the previous support react as a resistance, right? And then we had the previous closing price rejection, and then we had the Friday sell-off till 10 a.m. So I added three things onto that. Now, in terms of this main idea here, it's crunching at the top, It topped out at a very similar time on Friday. There's already a lot of similar patterns in history repeating itself compared to Friday. And in terms of confirmations, it was simply just understanding, looking at the 5-minute chart. Okay, these are bearish wicks. These are bearish wicks. What happens when SPY forms these bearish red wicks? These bearish red wicks at key resistance, it likes to drop. It likes to drop, right? So you see this nice little pattern right here. See this nice little pattern right here. It follows up with a nice drop. So me seeing this on the 5-minute, I'm saying, okay, we're crunching at the highs. And what is SPY doing? It's turning this previous support in the pre-market. It was bouncing off of 394, and it's turning that previous support into resistance, and it's crunching at the highs. And it's 12 p.m., and it's forming these bearish trend reversal candlesticks right here. So I'm telling myself, it's time to buy the puts. This is my confirmation. I'm going to buy puts towards here, and I'm well aware if SPY breaks above 394, it's going to rocket to 396 because that's the next resistance level. So my risk would be slightly above 394. And then what would the target be? Well, based off of the trend on Friday, this can have a serious crash, but I'm not aiming for that big. So my target would be, once it starts to crack under this previous closing price. I ended up taking in some gains. It dropped literally 2 points from my entry very, very quickly. Within just like 6 minutes, it dropped 2 points and I made 50%. Sold half here, and then I left the other half on to ride for like a 70% win overall. So, that's mainly how I played it. And that's how I was able to determine that history was going to repeat itself, understanding that, it's crunching at the highs. It's forming bearish trend reversal candlesticks on the 5-minute leading up to that key 12 p.m. time frame. And it's also topping out at previous support in the pre-market, which is now resistance, which confirms it's super bearish. And based off the trend on Friday, this can get very, very ugly. And that's pretty much what happened. So, that was the main play. That was the main strategy. That's what I wanted to recap in terms of SPY mastery. I want to give a pro tip just so one thing you guys need to understand is in terms of the market, you have to find all ways to sharpen your edge, right? You have to create an edge. And one way to get a good foundation on creating an edge that I have found is mastering one thing. And that's really what I can recommend. So a pro tip is, in terms of developing an edge, a good foundation can be to master one symbol. And you want to make sure that symbol is worth mastering. You want to make sure it's very volatile. You want to make sure it has nice patterns where history is repeating itself. You want to make sure it has a lot of volume, a lot of liquidity. You want to make sure people who are trading this symbol are people who can make millions of dollars trading in one single day with options. And for me, that's been the SPY. I'm dedicating literally my entire focus in life to the SPY. I still trade stocks. I still have some stock plays, but in terms of mastery, in terms of that one thing and that focus, it's all in on SPY. That's all I'm focused on. The patterns are there. The predictability is there. History repeating itself is there. It's extremely volatile. It's extremely lucrative. It's very rewarding. And this is a symbol where there are traders making millions of dollars a day trading the SPY. And you can't really say that for a lot of other symbols. In terms of mastery and what I've seen, SPY is the best. In terms of predictability, the volatility, the moves it has to offer, I would say SPY is the best. I know there's other symbols, people like trading, like Tesla and stuff like that. For me, it's the SPY. That's what I prefer, SPY and SPX. So I just want to bring awareness to that. If you put all your focus into one symbol, you will begin to master that symbol. You will begin to read price action that nobody can read because they haven't put in the hours and they're not seeing what you're seeing because you understand a certain movement that other people don't understand because you're sitting there and you're watching the SPY, you're trading the SPY, you're going to begin to see patterns, you're going to begin to develop a third eye. But if you're trading all these random tickers and you're not dedicating to one ticker, you're going to start to get very confused and you're going to start to make mistakes and you're going to start to see there's such a big difference in certain stocks and the way they move with options and the way the price action moves. Some are slow, some are fast. It's going to mess with your trading. But if you really dedicate to just one thing, you will trade it like no other person. And in terms of that one thing, just make sure it's something worth dedicating to, like the SPY. So I just want to bring awareness to that. That was the overall recap. I had another nice quick trade towards this 392 push. Didn't work out the first time. Lost a quick 20%. And then I ended up playing again. Made 100%. Not going to be going over that. But let's go into the price action. Let's go into the updated price action analysis. So what do we need to know about the SPY? So in terms of the SPY, this is very bearish. The reason why this is very, very bearish is we had this gap to fill on the SPY right here at this $390.89. If we go back to history, you can see when it starts to crack through this resistance level, it's known for quickly selling off to the mid 370s. That's where it's known for selling off and kind of bottoming out. You can also visually see the SPY has a gap to fill below at 381.95, and the SPY has another gap to fill at 377.91, right? So we got these gaps to fill below. We've now confirmed that 390 is to resistance. So basically for SPY to go super bearish early September, what the bears needed is they needed to crack under 391 to 390, and they needed to turn that support zone into a resistance zone. And that's what they are really starting to do heading into the close of market and heading into extended hours trading. So what would be the new update now that we are currently on track to gap down tomorrow? So if the SPY maintains this movement, as you can see, it's at 388.5. And if it does, gap down tomorrow, the best level for puts is going to be $390.76 to $392. Why do I say that? The reason why I say that is, if a stock gaps down or SPY gaps down, you're going to want to wait for it to go back to the previous closing price. And then once it fills that gap, if it goes from green to red, rejects, forms resistance, it will continue to sell off. This 390, 391 zone is that key support level. SPY has now cracked it. It's reacting as resistance, forming lower highs. It's very bearish. We're also in September. Now, the best price would be, I would say, 392. And the reason why I'm saying that is, if you look right here, my theory, I was doing this, I believe, with the 30-minute chart? I think it was a 30-minute chart. Yeah, it was pretty much the 30-minute chart. So I was looking at pre-market support in 30-minute chart right here, and I said 396. I told you guys 396.50, right around there would be the best level for puts. That's where it tops out in the pre-market. And then today at 12 p.m., I bought puts because previous support reacting as resistance, 394 pre-market support reacts as a resistance, plus the crunch at the highs and history repeating itself. So I bought the puts. So now what I'm telling you, the new next level of that support would be right here. It would be this 392 and 390.76. That is the new lowered put zone, right? So it keeps on dropping. It keeps on going lower. You just have to be careful because you don't want to get squeezed. You don't want to get caught up in a squeeze. That's why there's very important updates in the pre-market that can change this analysis. But as of now, with this video, 397.6 and 392. If you see rejections, if you see it reacting as a resistance, if you see it struggling towards those levels, then SPY should continue to drop overall. Now, let's talk about downside potential. We have a lot of support at this 388.41. This is where it had that nice move from 388.41 all the way to 394, right? So it basically bounced 6 points very, very quickly from the support level. So if SPY were to crack this support level at 388.44, turn it into a resistance level, form some bearish confirmations, how low will it be on track to go? Well, one way to measure that is by simply saying, this just bounced 6 points off support. So now it's going to drop 6 points off support. Now, that is one way to measure price action in an overall move, but it's far more complex than that. And that doesn't mean I'm holding for a 6-point move. You guys know me. I get in, I get out, I make my quick 20, 30, 40, 50%, whatever it may be. It depends on the play, it depends on the setup. 12 p.m. at strong conviction and is at key resistance. So I like to hold those a little bit longer. If I'm playing at support or key breakdown at a much lower level, I tend to not hold those as long. I'd be extremely careful with those more speculative ones at not the best prices. But anyways, looking at the chart, so based off the price action, it can drop 6 points. If we crack 388.50 and turn that into resistance, we can drop 6 points. Now, what does the chart say? Looking at the chart, you can see we have all this support right here at this 380, what is this? 389.95, a lot of support at this 390 level. Well, if we crack that, there's not much support on the daily. There's just not. Your next support level will be at 385.39. That's where you could see a little bounce. And then there's a gap to fill below at 382. So based off of that 6-point upside move where it went from, this 380, like 388, right around there. Based off this move where it went from 388 basically to 394, basically a 6-point move. It's like 5.5 points. We could see a strong gap fill soon. Basically, if we can just turn this 389, this today's lows, if we could just turn this little double bottom right here, you could see SPY's bouncing off right now. If we can turn this 388.4 into a resistance level, SPY will be on track to fill the gap, and there's a gap waiting to fill below right here at 381.95. Now, in terms of little bounces, if we see a strong move to the downside at 381.95, we will likely see a small bounce. We can also see a little bounce. I wouldn't play calls on this one. We could see a little bounce at 385.39. Look to lock in some gains there. In terms of where we are likely to see a bounce, a small bounce for a little reversal, I would say at 381.95. 381.95, this gap, it's got to happen quick, ideally like tomorrow. Again, it's all updates. But if we get a sharp crash to this 381.95, we will likely see a bounce. I could see a bounce on SPY. You could see it's got a nice little double bottom here. It's got a lot of support. If it were to crack that support and react as a resistance, I would not expect it to be doing that or even be aiming for that heading into tomorrow or at the very moment. In terms of realistic tomorrow, if we could turn that 388 into resistance, we can go to that 385 to 381.95 zone, 381.95. If you were to play calls, tomorrow would be the best price for calls. Just know, as of now, we are super bearish. If we get a sharp crash to 381.95, we will likely see a bounce. If I did buy calls there, I'd have to see a strong pattern because technically it is betting against the overall trend because we're starting to see some bearish confirmations. But if I did buy calls there, my max risk would be like 380.70. I'd risk like $1 on that. And then just to understand, once we crack 380.70, we fill the gap at 378. So basically heading in tomorrow, my overall thesis would be puts at 390.76 to 392. Overall targets, we will likely see a little bounce at 385. And then the lowest I could see us going is 381.95. That would probably be a good price to scalp calls speaking for tomorrow. And you guys just have to understand these videos are made a day in advance, right? So there's a lot that comes out in the pre-market, very important price action that can change certain key levels. But as of now, these are the main key levels, and these are the things I want you to understand heading into tomorrow. But just understand there's patterns that develop in the pre-market that give me a much better understanding of where we're going to be fluctuating and heading into the market that just cannot be addressed in these videos because they're made, the night before. But in terms of Trader Society, I give out the pre-market watches, the pre-market updates. I share all my trades real time. And if you do want to be a part of that, that's going to be the first link down below in the description. I'm telling you, we've got people in here who are absolutely killing it, man. Want to give a big shout out to some members today. Noah is coming back very, very strong with the account. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to Nick, man. Recently joined the program, I believe, and he's already up $3,400 on the week. It's just absolutely incredible. Nearly 10 times the cost of Trader Society. So big shout out to Trader Society. We're going to absolutely crush it tomorrow. The SPY has been extremely predictable and it should continue to be extremely predictable. We got to do what I did today, be very, very patient and wait to trade the best setups at the best prices. When I had this very nice alert on puts with the previous closing price rejection right around here, this nice just quick put scalp, I waited all the way until 12 p.m. for my next trade. And that next trade was amazing. And I was able to do that because it was so predictable. I was recognizing that, SPY is repeating history so well. If I could just get those confirmations where we're crunching at the highs towards 12 p.m., where we're forming these bearish confirmations, these bearish trend reversal candlesticks, if I can see that, I'm going to have high conviction that we're going to see a similar move, compared to Friday. And that's pretty much what happened. So that's my thoughts. That's my analysis. In terms of bull theory, for the bulls to take some control, they need to break above 392 and turn into support. If they can't do that, SPY will be on track to fill that gap. So for those of you who are super bearish, just know you need to stay under 392 from here. That's what you really need to do. You need to stay under 392 from here. SPY really needs to maintain under that 392. If it breaks above 392, turns it into support, the next level is 394. If it breaks above that, turns it into support, the next level is 396.50. If SPY were to somehow magically go bullish tomorrow, then I would look to play puts at 396. That's where I would play the puts, right? So say I took a trade and it was a loss, or say it's not working out, or say I don't like the situation and it's looking bullish, I would play puts at 396 then. So that's my thoughts. That's my analysis. I share with you bullish thesis and bearish thesis. Overall, things are looking pretty bloody, but we got to see how this reacts in the pre-market. And if this does, just understand, if we go red to green, in the green, the previous closing price reacts as a strong support level, bulls will take control. They'll run up to 392. And if it breaks above that, then it's super bullish tomorrow. So just understand that, because I want to share with you both ways. Things are looking bearish now, but I want to address and bring awareness to the other side of the trade, right? So just understand that. So that's my thoughts. That's my analysis. Now, if you do want to be a part of Trader Society, it's going to be the first link down below in the description. You get to trade with me live every single day. You get access to all my trades in real time. You get access to the networking opportunities within the Discord. I'm telling you, we got a phenomenal group. We got a great team of traders that can really assist you in the right direction. And they're sharing their strategies and they're sharing their thesis and their thought process. You also get access to the video lesson library, where you get to learn all the unique gap trading strategies that I've created, along with risk management, position sizing, psychology, and mindset trading. There's so much more to it. If you want to check it out, now is the best time to join. It's a one-time fee. You get instant access as soon as you join, and you get lifetime access. This is the best deal Trader Society will ever be at. It's the first link down below in the description. I will see you guys tomorrow live at Market Open, and we will continue to crush and master the SPY.